Stacy's going to get so mad at me for filming this in our unkept, uncleaned bedroom that we haven't cleaned this weekend, but oh well. I've pretty much been in bed this whole weekend. I had a couple teenage boys that I had to show up on the basketball court and let them know that to respect their elders. Anyhow, this is just for you, Remnant. And I just wanted to make this short and sweet. I'm really being wrecked by this revelation of just the prevenient grace started it, but then to go into it's, I guess if you want to call it a label, it is kind of hinders on the predestination, but we refuse to be boxed in by a camp or a denomination. And Friday we talked about that at extent, how some of the terminology we're using, if you come from any of those backgrounds, you can kind of be sucked in and think that's what we're talking about. We're doing a brand new thing. We're not going off of this or going off of that. We're just going right off of the Scripture and the Spirit. And so I don't know if anybody's really, I've never heard it taught the way that's coming out with us. I've heard pretty much every camp there is. You understand, I've gone 8 years of Bible college, and all those 8 years was at the same denomination. I had every denomination in that background of Bible college. Anyway, I'm boring you on that. Let me just say this. It was so interesting that we was able to go to the trichotomy being that we are spirit, soul, and body a few months ago. We had to get that down because we had to understand that we are spirit. Because if we never dissected that of how it works, that I am a spirit, possess a soul, live in a body. If we never got that, we can never get this. It would never have made sense. And so we're so far out there. See, let's go this way. What is man? What are we made for? What's this life for? I think that's a Creed song or something. But what's this life for, if you will? And we weren't made for just for a temporal life on earth. And that's what we are. We're temporal. That's why Paul said, don't look at the things that are seen, but look at the things that are not seen, because the things that are seen, they're temporal, but the things that are not seen, well, they're eternal. And that word eternal, they're eternal. And that's unique because we've always thought as eternity as something coming or futuristic in heaven, eternity. But when we now, Remnant, talk about eternity, we have to understand that we came from eternity to come down here for assignment to go back to eternity. And that is why Paul said, he said, if you're risen with Messiah, seek those things which are above, where Messiah sits at the right hand of God. Set your affections on the things above and not on the things of this earth. That's Colossians 3:1-2. Yeshua also said that, he says, store up your treasures in heaven. Don't store them up on earth. He said, store them in heaven, because on earth, if you store them, he says, the rust crows and moths eat and people can steal. But if you store them up in eternity, why was he so eternally focused? Was it just heaven when we get to know? I believe there was something that we were supposed to be storing up in eternity that we knew about in eternity. How about we do this way? We knew about it in eternity. He talked to us about it in eternity, but then we're down here. We're in between the X, if you will, where my face is right now in the present. And what we do is we get sidetracked in the here and now, and we make the here and now this big thing, be it whatever it is. And really, if we saw it in the light of eternity, both ways now, we're going to stop looking at eternity as this, and we're going to look at eternity as the whole thing, because that's what we're doing. The whole goal was we were spirit beings created for eternity. I'm going to prove this to you. Watch. Here's how you do this. The same way here's how it worked. Before, Jeremiah 1:5, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you. And then I ordained you to be a prophet for a nation. So I knew you, I had intimacy with you, and I also called you, and I chose you for a specific task on earth to get done. but I made you in eternity to have a task on earth to complete my will, and that was it. And then I'll call you home, back home to eternity. And so how did it happen? What were we? That happened. We were spirit beings. Why was it when Adam was made, we read about him being spirit, he creates Adam, it says, but then after it says he created him, it's the next chapter that he says that he formed him then he formed the dust and shaped it as a body, and it says he breathed the living soul into him. The soul's not a spirit. He breathed the living soul so he could have a mind, will, and emotions, and a makeup for this earth suit that he just created for him. But he is a spirit. But he was a spirit, and he still possessed a spirit. And then God made him a body and a soul, just so he can get around on this people planet, just like an astronaut needs a space suit to be in space, because that's not his function. He was going away from his home Earth, going to space, so he needed something to function in space. Well, we're spirit beings that was in eternity. We had to come to Earth, so we had to have an Earth suit. That's a body. But then we had to have a soul, mind, will, and emotions to be able to function on this Earth. Because only spirit could function with spirit. And I don't know about you all, but I function with a whole lot of not spirit, a lot of spirits, but they ain't of the Holy Spirit. And so I got to have a soul to be able to understand and articulate with them people. And so now, watch how this works. Okay, he comes down as spirit. He gets a body and a soul. All right, watch. Now watch how it ends. When we die, we leave the body in the soul. The soul is no longer needed, the mind, will, and emotion, because we go back to a spirit form that can function as spirit. God is spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. John 4:4. So we know that God's a spirit. The only way we can function with him is by spirit. Once we no longer need the earth suit, we basically see death is not. Oh Lord, it's everything. It's so comforting. It gives you peace. It makes sense. It takes the weight off our shoulders. It makes you no longer try to figure it out. It makes you just sit and relax. Death is not even death of what we thought it was. Listen, what is so sad about putting down this dang earth suit that all it was a suit? This is a suit. This is what you see of me, that you see in the gap teeth and the crow's feet. When I smile, see the crow's feet. What you see there is an earth suit anyway. That's why I'm not bent out of shape about my receding hairline. You know what I'm saying? Because and my red face when I get going, and my all that. Listen, you know, my kids make fun of me and everything about the hair and all that. And listen, I really don't. It's not because I'm not vain, because I am vain in a lot of areas. You know what I'm saying? Just being real. It's just because I understand that that's just the temporal man, though. That's not who I am. Now, if you start picking on who I am, you know, and you start going against if I'm spirit, then I'm going to start getting defensive. But listen, those type of things, well, I'm going to worry about when that thing gets done. It's like a car. You know, when a car is done, it's just done. You know, the engine blows up and it's no longer any use, and it fulfilled its purpose, and it goes to the junkyard. Well, that's their bodies. They fulfill their purpose, and then they go to the graveyard. Okay? All right? I laid it down. Why? Because I did the work. That's why Yeshua said, I must do the works. I must do the works while it's still day, because night's coming when no man works. What he's saying there is, I have to do the will of my Father who sent me. I only got a little bit of time. I've got to do this on earth, but I come from eternity, come down here to fulfill an assignment for my Father, go back to eternity. That's you and I, friend. Listen, why are we so bent out of shape on everything, and politics and government and our kids and our careers and our futures and all that? And yes, you know, plan whatever you want to do and do all that, but really, ultimately, when I get this thing, I stop getting mad at folk. I stop trying to convince folk. I just say, you know what, I'm just let me do what you called me to do, and then let me go home. You know what I'm saying? And And the whole time I'm going to rejoice in the fact that you called me, you chose me, you predestined me. It doesn't make us lazy. And that's here. Let me close this video with this, y'all. So what's our response? Because to a degree we can go, okay, oh, they weren't really of us, and it could be a loved one. And listen, it's not our place to go ahead and go ahead and give them the sentence of if they were the called or the elect. I do believe the called and elect will stumble from time to time, and it might look like the manifestation of them not being called. But let's let this thing play out, and let's not be too quick to lose heart on loved ones and friends that are looking as if they are, like John said, the apostle said, they came out from us because they were not of us, and they went out so they could be made manifest that they weren't really the called or the elect. And I think they can do that from time to time. So let's let it run its course, and you know, what I'm trying to encourage you. If you got somebody acting crazy that you love, you don't have to, oh Lord, you know, they're just not it, so I can't do anything. No, you just keep loving them. You know, you keep loving them. You keep sowing the word. You keep praying. And because ultimately He knows, and that's what I was thinking. So do we just not do anything? And the Lord told me this. Listen, we have to hear on Friday how we said that we knew Him. He talked to us. We talked to Him in eternity. And then whenever He calls us on the earth, we hear His we know that voice. We don't know all of Him, but we know His voice, and so that's why we heed Him. Well, He told me this because I thought, well, I guess we just don't do anything. You know, we can't even spread the good news, or even why even share Yeshua? Why even share about Jesus to somebody? You know, if they are the called, or they've already rejected Him in eternity. And the Spirit told me this just today. He said, well, we could be the channel through a called person that's not walking in it yet, but we can be that channel that they heed His voice and hear His voice. It could be through us. You see, so I don't believe in so much anymore. I'm leaning against, I shouldn't say I don't believe, but I'm leaning against the theory of, you know, we lead somebody to the Lord because they never heard at any time, and if we didn't lead them, then they wouldn't come. I can't really necessarily believe that, but I do still believe that we have responsibility, because what if He chooses one of us to be a vessel that awakens that person to His voice? Okay, like ultimately, it's not like if you don't do it, ultimately He's going to have it done because He's sovereign, and He's in His providence, He's going to have it done. But why would you want to miss that opportunity to be that channel that Father uses? You know what I'm saying? So that's how I get this thing, and this is just skimming. Jay said you ought to make a video, because I guess he was tired of me posting so much. So quit posting and just talk, and then be done. So if you watch, buddy, thanks for the encouragement. If it's 13 minutes and you turn me off about 3 minutes, I don't blame you. But anyhow, I love y'all so much. I really do.